At the beginning of our story, we meet Chen Xiao Qian, a passionate screenwriter working late into the night. She's frustrated as the lead actor of her drama, Han Min-xing, criticizes her script, doubting that his character would fall for the female lead so easily. Frustrated and determined to prove him wrong, Xiao Qian works tirelessly to revise the script, even as she begins to feel unwell. The next morning, Xiao Qian awakens to a shocking realization. She's no longer in her world but inside her own story. She's not even the lead character. Instead, she's the infamous third princess, Chen Xiao Qian, a spoiled and reckless woman destined to die shortly after her wedding. Chen Xiao Qian rules over Huayuan City, a city where women are powerful and men serve them. In this world, men are expected to be obedient, and women make all important decisions. Chen Xiao Qian's life takes an unexpected turn when she falls from her horse and is saved by Han Shuo, a handsome young hero from Zhuanhu City, where men hold power. But Han Shuo's motives aren't pure. He plans to marry Chen Xiao Qian's sister, the second princess, and steal a rare item from Huayuan City to cure his heart condition. However, Chen Xiao Qian declares, "I'll marry you myself," to Han Shuo, turning his plans upside down. He tries to escape the marriage by pretending to have a terminal illness, but she insists they marry quickly. On their wedding night, Chen Xiao Qian waits for him to poison her, thinking it will send her back to reality. But Han Shuo hesitates, and she only ends up fainting, leaving her fate in the balance. Chen Xiao Qian wakes up, surprised to find herself alive. She realizes that Han Shuo's poison plot failed, but he is now imprisoned for his actions. Wanting to reach the end of the story as quickly as possible, Chen Xiao Qian hatches a new plan. She'll save Han Shuo by claiming she's pregnant. Showing her mother some morning sickness symptoms, her mother immediately asks who the father is. "I don't know. Let's just say it's Han Shuo's," she replies. Han Shuo is released, admitting that he's the father, though he knows it's a lie. Chen Xiao Qian's mother isn't fooled. Knowing the timing is impossible, she presents Han Shuo with various green gifts, including a green hat, a special symbol in Huayuan City for a man whose wife has cheated. In this matriarchal society, it's also seen as a mark of a man's grace. Humiliated, Han Shuo is still determined to poison Chen Xiao Qian, but every attempt fails as he can't remember which food is poisoned, forcing him to serve her every dish. Later, her mother discovers Chen Xiao Qian isn't really pregnant. Ready to punish Han Shuo, she stops only when Chen Xiao Qian claims she's in love with him. Still eager to end the story, Chen Xiao Qian decides to fulfill her supporting character role by pushing Han Shuo toward her sister, Chen Qiuqiu. She sets up a contest where Han Shuo impresses the women of the court with a sword dance, hoping he'll attract Qiuqiu. As the performance peaks, Han Shuo's heart starts to ache. Suddenly, he points his sword at Chen Xiao Qian, intending to strike her. Chen Qiuqiu intervenes, and the two engage in a fierce battle. Just as chaos erupts, Pei Heng arrives to stop the fight, scolding Chen Xiao Qian for disrespecting her husband, which makes her apologize sincerely for the first time to Han Shuo. Qian Qian then goes to see Han Shuo to apologize for humiliating him, but when she notices his dissatisfaction, she offers, "You were stripped in front of everyone today. I'll make it up to you," and begins to remove her robe as repayment. Embarrassed, Han Shuo stops her, wrapping her in a blanket. He then notices her chastity mark and questions, "Why is this still here if you're supposed to be pregnant?" Caught off guard, Chen Xiao Qian replies, "I had to say I was pregnant to save you." Han Shuo, moved by her words, almost forgets he had assassins waiting outside his room to kill her. She suggests a new arrangement. In public, he will listen to her, but in private, she'll listen to him. Surprised but intrigued, he agrees to the compromise. As she's about to leave, he stops her, insisting she dress properly before stepping out. Outside, Han Shuo sees his assassins still aiming at her, so he rushes to shield her with a blanket, deflecting the arrows and keeping her safe. Chen Xiao Qian senses the danger around her and recalls that Han Shuo is a ruthless character who plans to conquer Huayuan City. Realizing she must earn Han Shuo's trust to survive, Chen Xiao Qian devises a plan. She pretends to save him from a spy setup, hoping he'll see her loyalty. Although Han Shuo sees through the plan, he still believes her intentions are genuine and begins to think she has feelings for him. In class, Chen Xiao Qian tries to sit near Han Shuo to help him grow closer to her sister, Qiuqiu. But Han Shuo, noticing her glances toward Pei Heng, lifts her and places her back in her original seat, determined to keep her attention on him alone. Chen Xiao Qian wants to help free Su Mu, a musician who has been bullied by Lin Qi, the leader of Huayuan City's Music and Dance Academy. Hearing her plan, Han Shuo decides to help. He goes to the city lord, Chen Xiao Qian's mother, and pleads, "My health is so weak that I can't keep up with Qian Qian's needs. Please send all the academy's musicians to her mansion to keep her entertained." Surprised but amused, the city lord agrees, and all of Lin Qi's entertainers are transferred to Chen Xiao Qian's service. Pleased by Han Shuo's effort, Qian Qian thanks him, unaware that Han Shuo has his own reasons. Su Mu is actually one of his spies. To continue his mission, Han Shuo assigns Su Mu to Pei Heng and the rest of the musicians to Chu Chu. Later, a confrontation with Lin Qi leads to Chen Qian dislocating her shoulder. While her sister Chen Yuan offers to help, Qian hesitates, afraid of the pain. Seeing her fear, Han Shuo sends everyone away and gently takes care of her injury, telling her, "I fell in love with you the first time I saw you fight." Distracted by his sweet words, she barely notices as he pops her shoulder back into place. Through his spies, Han Shuo learns that Chu Chu is adopted, meaning that only Chen Qian is a true heir to the city lord. Knowing this, Han Shuo realizes that if he kills Qian, the city lord will be forced to use the dragon bone, a rare cure for his heart disease, to save her only daughter. Yet he finds himself hesitant, feeling conflicted between his original mission and his growing affection for Qian. One day, Qian decides to buy a gift for Han Shuo, after hearing from her servant that he was upset the previous night. However, as she steps into the marketplace, all the merchants quickly close shop, fearful of her notorious reputation for never paying her debts. Determined to prove she's changed, Qian insists on buying Han Shuo a gift herself. She chooses a set of clothes but needs his measurements. Wrapping a string around him, she reassures him, "I'm just measuring you." He, however, mistakes her actions as a sign of deep affection. That evening, Han Shuo finds a birthday gift from Qian, a hot pot party. Half of the pot is spicy, and half is mild. Qian explains, "There's a saying that if someone truly loves you, they'll serve you the best food first." To prove her point, she serves Han Shuo some spicy food, but he struggles to eat it due to his heart condition, which worsens with spicy food. Touched by her care, Han Shuo gives up on his plans to poison her, but this decision comes at a high cost. Without using the dragon bone, he knows his illness will claim his life by age 20. As they sit together, Han Shuo realizes Qian has become as important to him as his own life, even though her innocence keeps her unaware of the danger surrounding them both. Han Shuo learns that Chen Xiao had once tried to trap him, hoping he would be captured as a spy. Overwhelmed by betrayal and physical pain from his heart condition, he faints, leaving Qian worried. Acting quickly, she mouth-feeds him his medication to save him, knowing she needs him alive to keep herself safe. Determined to help him further, she sneaks into the ancestral hall and steals the dragon bone, a rare remedy for his heart. She brews a pungent dragon bone stew, hoping it will help heal him. Han Shuo, who had originally planned to poison her that night, begins to regret his decision as he realizes the lengths she went to save him. When Han Shuo returns to see Qian, he finds her lying motionless, appearing to be poisoned by the wine. Unaware she's faking it to gain his sympathy, Han Shuo panics, feeling guilt for his actions. In a desperate attempt to save her, he mouth-feeds her the dragon bone stew, placing her life above his own once again. The city lord soon hears of Qian's theft of the dragon bone and rushes to confront her, but by then, Qian is already pretending to be on the verge of death from her poisoning. Seizing the moment, she takes a sip of the dragon bone stew, claiming to be miraculously cured. She then insists Han Shuo drink the remaining stew, promising him it will help his heart. As they sit together, Qian and Han Shuo exchange an understanding glance. Though neither speaks of their true feelings, both seem to realize that their lives have become more intertwined than ever before. Meanwhile, Lin Qi tries to boost Chu Chu's chances of being chosen as crown princess by suggesting a martial arts test to the city lord, suspecting Qian's shoulder hasn't fully healed. When Qian learns about the test, she panics, knowing she lacks any martial skills. She rushes to Han Shuo for help, hoping he will assist her through this new challenge. To make up for her earlier betrayal, Qian decides to put on a grand gesture of apology. She arranges for a dazzling fireworks display, planning to launch it that night as a signal to Han Shuo. However, the fireworks also serve as a signal for Chu Chu, who is on a mission to capture spies. When the fireworks go off, Chu Chu mistakes it as a safe signal and moves forward with her team, only to face an ambush that leaves her injured. Meanwhile, trouble is brewing as Chen Xiao's mother, the city lord, learns that Han Shuo has consumed the dragon bone stew. Realizing her daughter is still a maiden, she suspects Han Shuo has ulterior motives. Furious, she orders Han Shuo to be chained up, planning to remove the dragon bone from his body. Panicked, Chen Xian pleads with her mother, "Please spare his life." Her heartfelt words touch Han Shuo, who begins to realize her true feelings. His inner strength surges and he stands up to protect her. However, he soon remembers that her mother's anger is aimed at him alone. To protect Chen Xian, he takes up a knife ready to sacrifice himself. But Chen Xian stops him, making a bold choice. She offers to give up her noble title and live as a commoner to save him. Moved by her sacrifice, the city lord spares Han Shuo and officially declares Chen Xian a commoner. Although she's no longer a princess, Han Shuo assures her he'll take care of her. However, this new status brings its own challenges. Lin Qi, upset by Chen Xian's protectors, sees an opportunity to make life difficult for her and brings Chen Xian's creditors to demand payment for her past debts. To humiliate her further, Lin Qi even pushes her into a pot of cold water, causing Chen Xian to fall ill. While she rests, Pei Heng, her childhood friend, visits to lift her spirits, playing her a soothing melody on the chin, a gift she once gave him. Han Shuo is by her side too, gently feeding her medicine as she recovers. In her feverish state, Chen Xian begins to talk about her real-life struggles as a screenwriter, complaining, "Actors are always unhappy with my script." Han Shuo listens, puzzled but concerned, as he realizes she's talking about things beyond his understanding. Meanwhile, a new bond forms between Sumu and Chen Yuanyuan, Chen Xian's eldest sister. Despite her physical limitations, Yuanyuan feels respected and seen by Sumu, who treats her with gentle kindness. Yuanyuan, in turn, sees in Sumu the caring soul she needs. Back at Chen Xian's mansion, Han Shuo reassures her that he will provide for her, saying, "Money isn't an issue." As the news spread that Chen Xian used the dragon bone, people grew angry, believing it had brought misfortune to Huayuan City. A crowd gathers outside her mansion, cursing her name. Chen Xian tries to stay strong, but Han Shuo is there by her side, pulling her inside and covering her ears to block out the hateful words. He gently hugs her, whispering words of comfort and promising that he'll protect her no matter what. Soon, a disaster strikes the city. Lin Qi's mine is hit by lightning, causing it to collapse with 100 miners trapped inside. People blame Chen Xian, thinking the destruction of the dragon bone angered the gods, and demand she sacrifice herself to restore balance. Chu Chu, her sister, offers to keep Chen Xian safe, but secretly resents that their mother always favors Chen Xian. Desperate to help, Chen Xian comes up with a plan: blow up the other side of the mine to create an escape route. She first asks Chu Chu, but Chu Chu refuses, saying the other side of the mine holds the sacred fortune lode and shouldn't be disturbed. Next, she turns to Pei Heng, but he too is reluctant. Frustrated, Chen Xian realizes there's one person she hasn't asked, the person who's been by her side, willing to do anything for her. She turns to Han Shuo, and he eagerly agrees to help. Together, they set off to the mine, where Han Shuo provides the necessary explosives. He assures her, "I'll handle everything, just stay safe." With his help, they successfully blow open the mine entrance, allowing the trapped miners to escape. Just as the rescue is underway, Chu Chu and Lin Qi arrive, furious that Chen Xian dared to disturb the sacred fortune lode. They threaten to arrest her, but their mother, the city lord, arrives just in time and stops them, allowing Chen Xian to continue the rescue. As Chen Xian helps the miners out of the rubble, the people see her bravery and determination. Many begin to cheer her name, but some still demand she be punished for disturbing the city's fortune. Suddenly, a miraculous sight appears. Oil or black gold begins to flow from the ground due to the explosion. The people take it as a divine sign, believing the gods have approved of Chen Xian's actions. Overwhelmed by her bravery and the city's newfound wealth, the city lord reinstates Chen Xian's princess status, declaring her a hero. Chen Xian feels a wave of relief and pride, knowing she not only saved her people but also gained their respect. Han Shuo stands by her side, looking at her with admiration, and in that moment both of them realize how much they mean to each other. With her hands bandaged from the previous rescue, Chen Xian struggles to eat a mooncake. Seeing her difficulty, Han Shuo offers to feed her. She asks him to just place the mooncake on her cast so she can manage herself, but he insists, bringing the mooncake close. She takes a bite, savoring it playfully, and teases him by pretending to share it. only to eat it herself. Han Shuo, amused and undeterred, leans in to taste it directly from her, turning their moment into a sweet mooncake kiss. As the crown princess selection draws closer, Pei Heng and Han Shuo join forces, urging Chen Xiao Qian to prepare for the challenging tests ahead. They begin with a debate practice, and Han Shuo adds a twist to make it fun. "If you lose, you'll have to kiss me. If I lose, I'll have to kiss you." Intrigued, Chen Xiao Qian agrees to the challenge, taking the side of being considerate to one's mother-in-law. Listening to her reasoning, Han Shuo grows more smitten, assuring her, "If I like you, my mother will too." Chen Xiao Qian wins the debate, and although Han Shuo leans in for his penalty kiss, she pulls back, leaving him playfully disappointed. Despite their encouragement, Chen Xiao Qian has no real desire to become the crown princess. She even places a secret bet on her sister Chu Chu to win. "I've lost all my fighting skills," she complains to Han Shuo, insisting she's unfit for the role. Her older sister Yuan overhears this and feels deeply hurt. Having been wheelchair-bound, she believes she is the one truly without hope. Seeing Yuan's pain, Chen Xiao Qian resolves to give her best in the selection, hoping to prove that hard work can overcome any obstacle. To prepare for the martial arts test, Han Shuo begins training her, using the sessions as an excuse to be close to her. Through sparring and practice, he skillfully sneaks in small moments of contact, leaving her flustered. Pei Heng joins in, competing with Han Shuo to help Chen Xiao Qian prepare. Both bring her study notes and encouragement, but Chen Xiao Qian, still uninterested, trades Han Shuo's notes with Chu Chu's completed exercises, pretending to study. Han Shuo, noticing her lack of effort, redoubles his commitment, pushing her to prepare more seriously. Learning of Yuan's disappointment, Chen Xiao Qian makes a promise. If she can pass the Kung Fu test, Yuan must promise not to give up on herself and continue working to improve her health. Inspired, Yuan agrees, giving Chen Xiao Qian newfound determination. Meanwhile, Lin Qi, angry at Chen Xiao Qian for her own losses, bribes the officials to pair them together in the Kung Fu test, hoping to humiliate Chen Xiao Qian in front of everyone. As the election approaches, Chen Xiao Qian steels herself, determined to prove her strength and protect her sister's hopes. As the night before the Kung Fu test approaches, Chen Xiao Qian feels anxious, knowing the challenge she'll face against Lin Qi. To calm her nerves, Han Shuo decides to take her somewhere special. Holding her close, he flies her up to a high hill under the moonlight. "Make a wish," he tells her. "The moon will hear you quicker from here." As she closes her eyes to make her wish, clouds begin to cover the moon, making her worry. Han Shuo gently tells her, "Then make your wish to me. I'll make it come true." Smiling, she asks if he'll be there to watch her in the competition, adding, "You give me courage." He assures her, "I'll be there." The next day, Chen Xiao Qian faced Lin Qi in the final match. Following Han Shuo's advice, she tries to tire Lin Qi out, hoping for a tie that will secure her victory since she has already won earlier rounds. However, Lin Qi is stronger than she expected, and the fight becomes brutal. Lin Qi strikes Chen Xiao Qian repeatedly, leaving her bruised and bleeding, but she refuses to give up. Pei Heng, who is watching from the sidelines, can't bear to see her hurt any longer. He tries to stop the match by signaling defeat, but Chen Xiao Qian rejects this, declaring, "Han Shuo is my decision-maker, not you." As the fight continues, Chen Xiao Qian is knocked to the ground, her body aching and covered in blood. Just then, Yuan, her older sister, appears in the audience, her face filled with concern. Seeing her sister's worry gives Chen Xiao Qian the strength she needs. She pulls herself up, grabs Lin Qi, and together, they tumble off the stage, ending the match in a tie. Han Shuo, who has been watching silently, clenches his fists, counting every blow Lin Qi delivered to Chen Xiao Qian. Inside, he vows to take revenge on Lin Qi, thinking, she'll pay with exactly 27 wounds for each strike she gave Chen Xiao Qian. But Chen Xiao Qian, sensing his thoughts, stops him, deciding to handle things her own way. With her entire body bandaged from head to toe, Chen Xiao Qian now resembles a warrior who has fought to protect her loved ones and her city. Both Han Shuo and Pei Heng show concern for her, and while Pei Heng's worry comes from friendship, he also realizes his feelings run deeper. Later, Pei Heng admits to Han Shuo, "I love her too. I won't give up on her without a fight." Chen Xiao Qian has won not only the respect of her people and the position of crown princess, but also the hearts of two powerful men who both care for her in different ways. She's determined to keep her promise to Yuan, proving that even in a world filled with trials, she can face anything with courage and determination. Chen Xiao Qian is officially named the Crown Princess, the future ruler of Huayuan City. Everyone celebrates, especially Han Shuo, but Qian Qian herself is conflicted. She believes her sister Chu Chu should be the one to lead, not her. When Qian Qian tries to talk to her mother about giving the title to Chu Chu, her request is ignored, which leaves Chu Chu feeling betrayed. She begins to think Qian Qian has been pretending not to care about power, and the bond between the sisters grows strained. Qian Qian soon realizes that she couldn't have passed the literacy test on her own and suspects that Han Shuo may have intervened to make sure she won. Frustrated, she confronts him about it in public during the coronation parade. "You had no right to meddle," she snaps, while Han Shuo defends himself, saying, "You're the only one I trust to lead Huayuan." As their argument heats up, Han Shuo accidentally steps on the edge of her dress, unraveling the fabric and leaving her publicly humiliated. Embarrassed, Qian Qian storms off, while Pei Heng, watching nearby, glares at Han Shuo for treating her so carelessly. Later, feeling guilty, Han Shuo tries to make it up to her. In an unusual show of apology, he dons a dress himself and allows her to pull the seam loose, giving her a chance for playful revenge. Qian Qian giggles as she tugs at the seam, watching as the fabric unravels and his legs begin to show. Despite the awkwardness, Han Shuo endures it, hoping to see her smile again. In the meantime, Pei Heng steps in to help Qian Qian with her new responsibilities as crown princess, guiding her through the official matters she now has to oversee. Seeing them together, Han Shuo grows jealous. To distract her, and to keep Pei Heng away, Han Shuo arranges for her to be sent on a mission to the mountains to deal with the bandits. "You'll come with me and we'll handle it together," he says, hoping to spend more time alone with her. However, Qian Qian sees this mission as a chance to encourage a romance between Han Shuo and Chu Chu. As they prepare for the journey, Pei Heng sends his loyal attendant, Zi Ying, along as a spy to keep an eye on Qian Qian's safety. Though she is now crown princess, Qian Qian's heart remains torn between her feelings for Han Shuo, her loyalty to her family, and her desire to bring everyone together. As they begin their mountain journey, Qian Qian eagerly tries to create moments for Han Shuo and Chu Chu to connect. She sends each of them a note, hoping they'll meet and share a romantic moment. However, her plan quickly goes wrong. Han Shuo mistakes the note for a battle challenge from Chu Chu, so when they meet, they end up sparring instead of bonding. Qian Qian sighs, realizing her matchmaking attempts are not going as planned. Undeterred, she decides to ask Pei Heng's attendant Zi Ying for help. Zi Ying, however, takes things too far and ends up trapping Chu Chu, making her vulnerable. This forces Han Shuo to intervene and rescue her, and they end up spending the night together in the forest. While alone, Chu Chu opens up to Han Shuo, admitting how difficult it is for her to live under her mother's favoritism toward Qian Qian. After watching his care towards Qian Qian, she says, "If I had known that young master is so brave and handsome as well being devoted, I wouldn't have let Qian Qian have you." She is somehow attracted to Han Shuo, but then he tells her that his heart now belongs to Qian Qian. Back at the camp, Qian Qian waits with Zi Ying, who unwisely decides to cook during the night, unintentionally signaling their location to the mountain bandits. As the scent of food wafts through the forest, Meng Guo, the bandit leader, and his group launch a surprise raid on the camp. Qian Qian tries to hide, but every time she finds a new spot, Zi Ying seems to accidentally reveal it, putting her in even more danger. Just when it seems the bandits have her cornered, Han Shuo arrives back at camp in time to save her, fighting off the attackers with fierce determination. During the fight, Han Shuo manages to capture Meng Guo, bringing an end to the raid. Qian Qian, remembering that Meng Guo is supposed to assist Han Shuo according to her story's script, persuades Han Shuo to release him. Although surprised, Han Shuo respects her decision and lets the bandit go, seeing how she's still following her own mysterious plans. Han Shuo had been deeply touched when Qian Qian risked herself to protect him from an attack, but when he learns she's been secretly scheming to pair him with Chu Chu, his affection turns cold. Avoiding her, he leaves Qian Qian feeling a hint of jealousy for the first time. She wonders why his sudden distance bothers her so much, even as she struggles to continue with her plans. Meanwhile, Qian Qian unexpectedly finds herself in the company of a barbarian leader, Meng Guo, who sees her bravery and loyalty as worthy of respect. To her surprise, he declares her an honorary sister and offers his allegiance. She is soon surrounded by his men, who eagerly follow her every command. Han Shuo, fearing she might be in danger, arrives ready for battle, only to find her safe and enjoying herself, a bit too tipsy for her own good. "Why do you look like someone who's left me here to die?" she teases, tugging on his sleeve with a playful pout as she eyes the barbarian's enormous knives. Amused but exasperated, he whispers, "Let's go home," and gently scoops her into his arms, whisking her back to camp. But behind the scenes, Su Ziying, Pei Heng's attendant, harbors his secret motives. Though he's outwardly loyal to Chen Qian, his true allegiance lies with Chu Chu. He is determined to make all of Chu Chu's wishes come true, even if it means manipulating Han Shuo's feelings. Later, when Su Ziying overhears Chen Qian's efforts to bring Han Shuo and Chu Chu closer, he decides to help. His plan is simple but cunning. He places an incense with aphrodisiac properties in a secluded storage room, aiming to trap Han Shuo and Chu Chu inside together. However, as the plan unfolds, Chen Qian's maid, Zi Rui, realizes Su Ziying's intentions and quickly knocks him out. In a twist of fate, Chen Qian ends up locked in the room with Han Shuo instead. Inside, the effects of the incense begin to take hold, and Han Shuo's eyes darken with an intensity that leaves Chen Qian both flustered and unsure. As he struggles to control himself, he mutters, "Why do you keep doing this to me?" She stares back, a mix of confusion and curiosity filling her gaze. The closeness, the warmth of his presence, and his unguarded expression make her realize that her feelings for him are stronger than she'd ever thought. Just as Han Shuo is about to lose control, he pulls away, determined not to act on the emotions overtaking him. In the silence that follows, both of them are left to confront the deepening connection they can no longer ignore, their hearts caught in a moment they will never forget. Seeing Han Shuo struggle to restrain himself under the influence of the incense, Chen Qian realizes he could be in serious danger if he doesn't give in. Hesitating for only a moment, she decides to act. Leaning in, she lifts her head and kisses him, her heart racing as she tries to ignore the warmth spreading between them. The kiss deepens, bringing them both closer until suddenly the door bursts open. Baiji and the other servants rush in, splashing cold water over the pair, jolting them back to reality. Though embarrassed, the moment awakens something in Chen Qian. Despite her best efforts to deny it, she finds herself drawn to Han Shuo, her heart pounding each time she catches a glimpse of his face. Yet, her stubbornness keeps her from admitting her feelings. Han Shuo, however, is open about his devotion, gently telling her, "If we were in Xuanhu City, I'd make a grand proposal for you. That's what a man does for the woman he loves." His words linger in her mind, leaving her in a mix of excitement and uncertainty. Not long after, Chu Chu confronts Chen Qian, demanding that she give up Han Shuo, as well as her crown princess title. Trying to ignore her own growing affection, Chen Qian decides to avoid Han Shuo, telling him they're incompatible and can't be together. But the distance only makes her feelings harder to hide, and each time they cross paths, her heart betrays her resolve. Meanwhile, back in Huayuan City, Ziying reports falsely to Pei Heng, claiming Han Shuo has been mistreating Chen Qian. Using this as an excuse, Ziying asks to stay by Chen Qian's side, but Pei Heng's suspicions grow. Sensing Ziying's deceit, Chen Qian's maid, Zi Rui, informs her of Ziying's strange behavior. Smiling thoughtfully, Chen Qian tells Zi Rui, "Let him snoop a little longer. I want to see what he's really up to." Later, during a tense meal arranged by Han Shuo, Chen Qian finds herself caught between the two men vying for her attention. Han Shuo's jealousy is barely concealed as Pei Heng openly competes for her favor, making her feel even more awkward. To escape the tension, she pretends to be drunk, slurring her words and stumbling away, leaving both men watching her retreat with mixed feelings of amusement and frustration. As the evening ends, Chen Qian can no longer deny the complexity of her emotions. Though she has tried to push Han Shuo away, his loyalty and kindness have left an undeniable mark on her heart, one she can no longer ignore. Ziying, ever cunning, plants a map of Huayuan City's defenses in Chen Qian's mansion and secretly tips off Chu Chu. Chen Qian, determined to lose her crown princess title, intentionally leaves the map visible, hoping Chu Chu will find it and expose her. But when Chu Chu storms in with her guards, all she finds are a few embarrassing portraits of Pei Heng and Chen Qian together. Flustered, Chu Chu retreats in anger, suspecting a trap. Ziying takes the blame, claiming he was only trying to expose Chen Qian's unsuitability as crown princess. In reality, Han Shuo had quietly ordered Baiji to retrieve the map, sparing Chen Qian from any accusation of treason. The lewd portraits, however, were a comical mishap, left by Baiji in his haste. Using this opportunity, Chen Xiao Qian suggests to Han Shuo that a divorce might solve everything, but he immediately dismisses the idea, insisting, divorce is out of the question. Meanwhile, Pei Heng approaches Chen Xiao Qian with a confession of his own. I've petitioned your mother for a divorce between you and Han Shuo. Stunned, Chen Xiao Qian rushes to her mother, begging for time to talk to Han Shuo first. When Han Shuo hears about Pei Heng's plan, he warns her, push me too far, and you'll see a side of me you won't like. His words shake her, reminding her of the dark, ruthless character she wrote him to be, and she worries that her story is unfolding just as she feared. As tensions rise, Chu Chu finally admits her feelings to Han Shuo, asking him to leave Chen Xiao Qian and be with her instead. But Han Shuo rejects her, stating that his heart belongs to Chen Xiao Qian. The ruler, however, remains firm on the divorce and issues an official decree. Heartbroken, Pei Heng believes this is his chance and asks Chen Xiao Qian to consider a future with him. But she gently tells him, I cherish you as a friend, Pei Heng. That's all it can ever be. Chen Xiao's mind, however, grows heavy with worry. She can't help but wonder if she's unknowingly set in motion the very story she once penned, where Han Shuo would one day conquer Huayuan. As Chen Xiao watches Su Mu and Yuan Yuan share tender moments, a pang of longing stirs within her. Their quiet mutual care is a reminder of the simple love she yearns for, far removed from the tangled alliances and betrayals surrounding her. But her responsibilities won't wait. Xuan Yu's operatives are laying explosives around Huayuan City, planning an attack that even Han Shuo isn't fully aware of. Desperate to protect her people, Chen Qian asks Pei Heng to convince her mother to annul the marriage order, hoping this will avert the danger. However, Pei Heng hesitates, torn between his loyalty to her and his own feelings. Meanwhile, Chen Qian's mother devises a humiliating condition for Han Shuo. He must wear a copper bracelet as a symbol of submission to Chen Qian if the divorce decree is to be cancelled. Despite the indignity, Han Shuo agrees, willing to endure anything to stay close to her. But Chen Qian remains unaware of his sacrifice and continues to keep her distance. Later that night, Chen Qian and Han Shuo cross paths unexpectedly. She tries to ignore him, but he stops her, finally voicing his frustrations. Why don't you care how I feel at all? He asks, hinting at the pain of wearing the copper bracelet. But Chen Qian, not understanding his true feelings, replies simply, then you should give up. As the Chinese Valentine's Day approaches, Chen Qian plans a ball toss event to help Yuan Yuan find a husband, hoping Su Mu will catch the ball. But Su Mu, feeling unworthy of Yuan Yuan, doesn't participate. Disappointed, Yuan Yuan eventually tosses the ball to another musician, Lo Peng, and announces him as her chosen husband. Amidst the festival chaos, Chen Qian overhears a conversation revealing that Han Shuo has been forced to wear the copper bracelet. Realizing her harshness, she regrets her earlier words and sets out to find him. Just then, Bai Ji informs her of boxes sent from Xuanyu City, leading her to believe Han Shuo plans to blow up Huayuan. Panicked, she seeks help from Chu Chu, who refuses, and then from Pei Heng, who agrees to assist in searching for Han Shuo. Finally, Chen Qian finds Han Shuo and, filled with desperation, confesses, Han Shuo, I like you. She begs him to stop whatever plan he's set in motion, hoping her words will reach him. For a moment, he pulls her into a tight embrace, but instead of stopping, he lights a fuse, signaling his men to proceed. Just as Chen Qian fears the worst, the sky above Huayuan lights up, not with explosions, but with dazzling fireworks. Han Shuo, it turns out, has replaced the explosives with fireworks, illuminating the city in celebration. He reveals his loyalty to Huayuan, even gifting Chen Qian's mother a Grand Tiger General statue as a symbol of his allegiance. He has even burned a Huayuan bracelet onto his skin, showing he belongs to the city, and her. Satisfied with his gesture, Chen Qian's mother drops her opposition to their marriage, accepting him as part of the family. Han Shuo turns to Chen Qian, a playful smile on his face, and asks, So do you still want a divorce? Blushing, she shakes her head, and in response, he leans in for a kiss, sealing their mutual feelings at last. That evening, with their hearts finally in harmony, Han Shuo walks Chen Qian to her room, their gazes locked, neither wanting to look away. They stumble awkwardly into her room, crab walking, as they hold each other's hands, unable to bear even a moment apart. Playfully, he gives her a new nickname, Xiao Qian, unknowingly using her real name. She calls him Shuo Shuo in return, and their servants, rolling their eyes, try to break the spell of the lovers' newfound affection. Later that night, Han Shuo sneaks back to Chen Xiao's room, carrying food as an excuse. She, however, wants more than just a midnight snack. They both end up on her bed, but Han Shuo, ever respectful, promises not to overstep unless she's ready. Nervous yet drawn to him, she blows out the candle while leaning over him, catching him by surprise. He places his arm beneath her head, allowing her to rest close. Though he yearns for more, her shy reluctance stops him, and he happily embraces her, content just to hold her close as they drift off to sleep. Their tender moment marks the start of a genuine love, one Chen Xiao could never have predicted. But now, she feels like she's found the place where she belongs. Their tender moment marks the beginning of a deep, genuine love, one that Chen Xiao never expected but now cherishes. She feels safe and wanted, finally realizing that for the first time she truly belongs with Han Shuo. But life in Huayuan is far from peaceful. As Yuan Yuan's new husband, Lu Peng eagerly plans his rise in social status, delighting in the opportunity. Meanwhile, Su Mu, feeling unworthy of Yuan Yuan's affection, returns to the music and dance academy. Concerned for her sister's happiness, Chen Xiao shares her worries about Lu Peng with Han Shuo. He promises to help resolve the matter, determined to see Yuan Yuan with someone who genuinely cares for her. Pei Heng, heartbroken, decides to resign from his role as education minister and teacher, unable to bear seeing Chen Xiao with Han Shuo. Their engagement, which had lasted over 10 years, was meant to seal a bright future together, but now he finds himself unable to stay. As he leaves, Su Mu steps in to fill his position at the academy, and Chen Xiao can't help but feel sad for the friendship that's come to an end. In the palace, trouble brews as Chu Chu, frustrated by her mother's favoritism toward Chen Xiao, demands to search Chen Xiao's mansion, still suspecting Han Shuo of plotting against the city. Her mother, the ruler, finally reaches her breaking point. "Enough, Chu Chu," she says firmly, deeming the matter closed. But Chu Chu, hurt and angry, accuses her mother of never truly seeing her as a daughter. Their heated argument ends with the ruler collapsing from the stress. Overhearing the exchange, Lu Peng sees a chance to manipulate the situation for his gain. Chen Xiao, realizing the seriousness of her mother's condition, issues an order as crown princess. She commands that the ruler's health be kept a secret, and that Chu Chu be confined to her mansion for her safety and the stability of the palace. Watching her sister's bitterness deepen, Chen Xiao can't shake the feeling that Chu Chu has changed, her jealousy now threatening to divide the family they once shared. Meanwhile, tensions rise as Lu Peng, eager to secure his newfound social status, begins to act arrogantly, causing a rift between him and Su Mu, who still feels unworthy of Yuan Yuan's affection. Their quarrel, however, is abruptly cut short when Lu Peng is killed on his way back from an outing. Chen Xiao, horrified, realizes the tragedy mirrors her original script where Han Shuo was destined to die at Chu Chu's hand. She begins to worry that the story is slipping out of her control, fearing that Han Shuo will meet the same fate unless she acts quickly. To prevent Chu Chu from framing Han Shuo for Lu Peng's murder, Chen Xiao preemptively arrests Lin Qi, who Chu Chu has used to manipulate events. But Lin Qi, afraid that Chu Chu will betray her to save herself, begs Chen Xiao for mercy. Instead of sentencing her to death, Chen Xiao decides to exile Lin Qi to Xuanyu as a warning. Lin Qi believes Chu Chu is the one behind her release, but is attacked by Chu Chu's subordinates on her journey, leaving her presumed dead. As she processes Lin Qi's death, Chen Xiao's fear grows. Determined to protect Han Shuo from the fate written in her original script, she realizes she must push him away from Huayuan entirely. With Pei Heng's help, she stages a plan, first convincing Han Shuo to surrender his command medallion, symbolizing his trust and devotion to her. "For you, I would give up everything," he says softly, handing her the token. Chen Xiao's heart aches at his words, but she knows this is the only way to keep him safe. Soon after, news spreads of Su Mu's mysterious disappearance, and Han Shuo becomes the prime suspect. Footprints, witnesses, and a discarded medallion all point to him, framing him perfectly. Chen Xiao, heart heavy, orders his detention, staging his imprisonment as part of her greater plan. Han Shuo, confused and betrayed, requests a meeting where Chen Xiao delivers the final blow. "I never loved you, Han Shuo," she claims, her voice breaking. "I only needed you for your title to protect Huayuan from Xuanyu." His face hardens, but he says nothing, removing the gold bracelet he once wore in her honor, the metal cutting into his wrist as he tears it off. After his exile to the southern frontier, Chen Xiao feels emptier than ever. Pei Heng, sensing her sorrow, gently suggests he could take Han Shuo's place, but she refuses. "It's not the same," she murmurs, a dull ache in her heart. Her days pass in a haze, and though she surrounds herself with the trappings of court life, nothing fills the void left by Han Shuo. Meanwhile, Chu Chu seizes the chance to further her ambitions. She conspires with Han Shuo, proposing a deal that offers him a way back into power while promising her revenge. As Chu Chu's plan unfolds, Chen Qian begins to piece together her sister's true intentions, suspecting her involvement in both Lu Peng and Lin Qi's deaths. She confronts Chu Chu, but her sister remains defiant, casting a dark shadow over the city and threatening everything Chen Qian holds dear. With Han Shuo now on a path of vengeance and Chu Chu determined to claim power, Chen Qian faces the looming storm she once wrote into her story, questioning if she can rewrite it before it consumes them all. Meanwhile, Lin Qi, who is thought dead, is revealed to be alive, saved by the token Chen Qian had given her. Su Mu likewise decides to leave Yuan Yuan, citing his unworthiness as the reason. Yuan Yuan, heartbroken but determined, finally stands on her own, a new strength born from her pain. When Qian Qian's mother awakens from her coma, Qian Qian learns troubling details. Lu Peng had overheard Chu Chu's plotting with their mother. Realizing that her sister may be linked to Lu Peng's death, Qian Qian confronts her suspicions. As Chu Chu aligns herself with Han Shuo to regain control, Qian Qian finds herself at a crossroads, the palace's stability now hanging in the balance. With Han Shuo now surrounding Huayuan, the city trembles under his command. Qian Qian, unaware of his presence, reads a letter explaining his escape from her guards. She turns, startled to find him right there. Shocked, she stumbles, reaching out for balance. Calmly, he says, "Sleep if you wish. I'll be here waiting." His tone carries a chilling edge, and she realizes he's taken over the city. Locked in her room, Qian Qian faces a new torment, as Han Shuo forces her to drink honey each day, hinting that one of the bottles contains poison. Driven to desperation, she drinks all the honey at once, then cries out dramatically, claiming she's been poisoned. Han Shuo strides into her room, expression unreadable, and without hesitation drinks the same honey, proving her cries of poison were in vain. Her ploy exposed, Qian Qian finally confesses, "I missed you every day you were gone." For a moment, his icy demeanor softens, but their tension is reignited when her servant rushes in, announcing that her male entertainers are visiting her, including one suspiciously disguised guest, Pei Heng. Realizing Pei Heng's plan, Chen Qian decides to act. As Pei Heng and the entertainers enter, she notices Han Shuo's anger and watches as he orders her confinement within her mansion. Pei Heng, blending in with the entertainers, finally finds a way to free her from Han Shuo's grip, guiding her out through the confusion. Outside, Qian Qian feels a mix of relief and sadness. Despite Han Shuo's growing ruthlessness, she clings to the hope that she can still rewrite the tragic fate she once scripted for him. But with Chu Chu intent on seizing power and Han Shuo blinded by revenge, Qian Qian realizes her fight has only just begun. To change their destinies, she must confront the shadows lurking within her own story. With renewed hope from realizing that Lin Qi's fate could be changed, Qian Qian decides to mend things with Han Shuo, convinced that she can alter his destiny too. Returning to her mansion, she finds that Han Shuo already knows she had briefly escaped with Pei Heng's help. Desperate to show her devotion, Qian Qian tears up the divorce letter and playfully sprinkles herself with its pieces, waiting for Han Shuo to join her. But Han Shuo, still skeptical, assumes she's doing it for Pei Heng or to protect her mother. Confused by his coldness, Qian Qian realizes that regaining his trust will take more than a few words. In a twist, Han Shuo declares she'll now serve as his maid. He keeps her busy with small, demeaning tasks, relishing each moment as she struggles to please him. When she tightens his waistband too much while helping him dress, he chokes back a laugh, watching her flustered attempt to make amends. Despite his outward gruffness, Han Shuo finds himself savoring every second of her attention, though he keeps his feelings hidden. Later, when Han Shuo learns that Qian Qian burned her hand while ironing his shirt, he can't stay away. That night, he sneaks into her room and gently pulls back her blanket to examine her bandaged hand. "Does it hurt?" he whispers, his voice soft for the first time in days. She nods and in a fragile moment asks him to stay with her. Han Shuo agrees but insists she takes the floor while he takes the bed. By morning, he finds her curled up next to him, her head resting against his chest. He carefully tries to slip away, but her sleepy embrace tightens, and for a fleeting moment, Han Shuo's heart softens. Meanwhile, Pei Heng, seeing Han Shuo's hold over Chen Qian, is determined to intervene. He steals the flower medallion from Chu Chu, a symbol of authority, hoping to use it to free Chen Qian from Han Shuo's grasp. With everyone entangled in hidden schemes, Chen Qian begins to understand the delicate balance she must maintain to rewrite her story's fate. The path to saving Han Shuo and her kingdom has only grown more treacherous. As Chen Qian watches the rising tension between Han Shuo and Chu Chu, she feels the weight of her choices. In a last effort to protect Hua Yuan and prove her loyalty, she confronts Chu Chu about her intentions. The confrontation becomes heated, with Chu Chu accusing her of manipulating Han Shuo and keeping Pei Heng as a backup. Unbeknownst to Chen Qian, Han Shuo overhears this, his gaze darkening as he watches Chen Qian stumble away in misery. Moments later, Chen Qian drowns her sorrow in a bottle, finding brief comfort in Pei Heng's supportive presence. However, the solace is short-lived. Han Shuo, surrounded by his forces, makes his move to overtake the city. The palace is thrown into chaos, with guards on high alert. The ruler seizes the moment to take control, ordering the arrest of both Han Shuo and Chu Chu. Though Pei Heng pleads with the ruler to spare Chu Chu, the blame for the upheaval falls squarely on Han Shuo. Determined to save Han Shuo, Chen Qian visits him in his cell. Her plan is bold. She will prove her love by consummating their relationship. "Once it's done," she whispers, "no one can deny that I am yours." Han Shuo, skeptical yet unable to deny her sincerity, is torn between anger and desire. On the day of Han Shuo's execution, Chen Qian makes a desperate plea to her mother, asking for mercy. But as the final hour approaches and all hope seems lost, Chen Qian does the unthinkable. She stabs herself, declaring that she would rather die than let Han Shuo face punishment alone. Her body is swiftly placed in a coffin where Pei Heng and Han Shuo share a somber, reflective moment, unaware that Chen Qian's death is merely a ruse. Using a retractable blade, she has staged her death to secure Han Shuo's release. After Chen Qian dies, Pei Heng, devastated, realizes the depth of her love for Han Shuo and resolves to let go of his feelings for her. But Chu Chu remains relentless, secretly plotting to end Chen Qian's life once and for all. As Chen Qian's coffin is transported, Chu Chu's men attack, hoping to eliminate her for good. Just as Chen Qian's life hangs in the balance, Lin Qi, who is thought to be dead, appears and rescues her, forging an unexpected alliance as they escape into the unknown. Now, with new allies and old foes, Chen Qian is ready to rewrite her story from a fresh beginning. On the journey to Xuanyu, Chen Qian unexpectedly encounters the three storytellers at a small inn, familiar faces who had listened to her tales about her script. In a quiet corner, they speak in hushed tones about the story Chen Qian had woven and the fates she had written for each character. But as they talk, Chen Qian becomes painfully aware of a presence nearby. Han Shuo, standing just outside the room, overhears every word. For a moment, she fears his anger, his sense of betrayal now that he knows she had once crafted his fate as a mere story. Yet when he steps inside, his expression shifts from hurt to understanding. "You could have told me," he says, his voice low, "instead of making me believe I was just a pawn." Chen Qian explains, her voice wavering, "I didn't mean to use you, but I also didn't expect to love you." Han Shuo softens, realizing her feelings are genuine, though mixed with fear for his safety. Settling into Xuanyu is no easy task for Chen Qian. Life here is vastly different from her beloved Hua Yuan, where women held power and respect. Now, she finds herself adjusting to a place where her authority is limited, a contrast that both challenges and frustrates her. Han Shuo, noticing her discomfort, does everything he can to make her feel at home. In a gesture that shocks the entire city, he even washes her feet, symbolizing his devotion. Word spreads quickly, and soon, Xuanyu's womenfolk are curious about this foreign woman who has managed to win the heart of their revered prince. Despite the whispers of admiration, Han Shuo's father is far from pleased. The elder lord is troubled by his son's lack of ambition to conquer Hua Yuan, viewing his affection for Chen Qian as a distraction from his duties. Determined to uphold his family's legacy, he warns Han Shuo that such sentiments will only weaken him in the eyes of their people. But Han Shuo, undeterred, reassures Chen Qian, whispering, "I would trade every kingdom just to keep you safe." Meanwhile, back in Hua Yuan, Chu Chu's ambitions grow bolder. When the ruler finally agrees to see her, Chu Chu demands to be restored as defense minister. Yet their conversation quickly takes a bitter turn. The ruler presents her with a letter from Minister Pei, Chu-Chu's late mother, revealing that Chu-Chu is adopted, a child of Hua Yuan's brave past. Shocked and hurt, Chu-Chu feels betrayed both by the ruler's favoritism toward Chen Xiao Qian and by her own origins. She realizes that her chance at power may be slipping away, leaving her more desperate than ever. In the days that follow, Chu-Chu's isolation deepens. She notices that guards who once answered her now look to Pei Heng, who quietly consolidates his influence, his loyalty unwavering to Chen Qian. The ruler, deeply shaken by Chu-Chu's actions and ambitions, begins to recognize her adopted daughter's darker nature and suspects that her relentless drive for control could threaten the stability of Huayuan. As Chen Qian and Han Shuo navigate the complexities of their life in Xuanyu, Chen Qian wonders if she can truly rewrite their story. Each day brings new challenges, but also a growing sense of closeness between them. Han Shuo, despite his father's warnings, continues to show his devotion, even if it means risking everything. With each passing moment, Chen Qian's resolve strengthens. She knows that the story she once wrote no longer defines their lives. Together, they can write a new one, where love, loyalty, and freedom shape their destiny, not power or revenge. Yet as Chu-Chu prepares to make her next move in Huayuan, Chen Qian and Han Shuo remain unaware of the looming threat. The battle for power, loyalty, and love is far from over, and in the shadows, Chu-Chu's plans continue to unravel. In the days following Chu-Chu's realization of her true origins, her resolve only hardens. She confronts Pei Heng, demanding the defense minister's post be returned to her, determined to reclaim power over Huayuan's military. Refusing to wait for a royal title, Chu-Chu focuses on controlling the city's armed forces. Her first order was to halt all mining trade with Xuanyu, declaring that Chen Qian must be sent back to Huayuan. She reorganizes the guards at the ruler's mansion, sending a clear message of her authority. Back in Xuanyu, Chen Qian finds unexpected support from Han Shuo's mother. Once a spirited leader, Han Shuo's mother had set aside her independence to fulfill her duties as the ruler's wife. Inspired by Chen Qian's bold spirit, she rediscovers her strength and insists on protecting Chen Qian, even opposing her husband's plan to send Chen Qian back to Huayuan. She declares herself Minister Hua, reclaiming command over Xuanyu's army to defend her family and newfound ally. Meanwhile, word reaches Chen Qian and Han Shuo that their loved ones in Huayuan are in danger. Yuan Yuan and Su Mu manage to escape Chu-Chu's tightening grip and bring alarming news that the ruler and Pei Heng are now confined. Fearing for her family and the well-being of Huayuan's people, Chen Qian resolves to confront Chu-Chu. However, she knows that a full-scale war would devastate her city, so Ziying proposes a new plan, a covert mission to confront Chu-Chu directly, disguised as a hostage exchange. The ruler of Xuanyu, along with his wife, attempts to intervene by launching a rescue mission for Chen Qian's mother. Yet, they are swiftly captured and detained by Chu-Chu's men. Secluded in a chamber, the Xuanyu ruler and Chen Qian's mother discuss the union of their families, considering possible compromises for their children's future. In a rare moment of harmony, they discuss grandchildren and family legacies, but unresolved tensions linger about where their children's loyalties should lie. As Chen Qian and Han Shuo enter Huayuan with Ziying and a small group, they prepare to face Chu-Chu in a final confrontation. Chen Qian approaches her sister, hoping to reason with her, but Chu-Chu is unyielding. Surrounded by her loyal guards, Chu-Chu raises her sword, determined to end the conflict on her terms. Ziying, sensing the danger, holds a dagger to Chu-Chu's throat, urging her to stand down. But Chu-Chu's guards hesitate, their loyalty wavering as they realize the depths of her ambition. With the palace in chaos and loyalties stretched thin, the future of Huayuan City hangs in the balance. Chen Xian knows that she must find a way to restore peace, not only for her family, but for the kingdom she has come to cherish. In the tense silence, Chen Xian takes a deep breath, hoping that her sister's heart still holds a trace of the bond they once shared. As Chen Xian and Han Shuo stand amidst the chaos in Huayuan, Chu-Chu's grip on power begins to slip. Her guards, once loyal, are swayed by Pei Heng, who steps forward, urging them to stand for justice. Seeing her support crumble, Chu-Chu grows desperate. With her last ounce of defiance, she raises her sword, aiming directly at Chen Qian. But in a flash, Han Shuo moves between them, blocking the strike. The sword pierces him instead, and he collapses, blood staining his armor. Chen Qian gasps, rushing to his side, tears streaming as she realizes the extent of his injury. In the aftermath, Chu Chu is taken away, while Qian Qian stays beside Han Shuo, cradling him. Chen Yuan, deeply shaken, examines his wound and declares solemnly, "His lungs are damaged. He only has a few days left." As Qian Qian weeps, Han Shuo gently takes her hand and whispers, "When you return to your world, just remember, I'll always be with you." His words, full of bittersweet resolve, settle into Qian Qian's heart. Back at the palace, the ruler arranges a succession ceremony, a final trial to determine who will inherit the throne. A path of flowers is laid out, symbolizing the passage to the throne, and for Qian Qian, a path to return home. Both Yuan and Chu Chu walk the path, but when it's Qian Qian's turn, she hesitates. To cross it would mean leaving Han Shuo, and she's unwilling to lose him now. But at the end of the path, Han Shuo appears, waiting for her, his body frail and his breath shallow. Despite her reluctance, Qian Qian runs down the path toward him, every step heavy with emotion. As she reaches him, the sky changes, casting a bright pink glow over them, a sign from the heavens, signaling her story's end. Suddenly, her vision blurs and Han Shuo fades from her sight. When Qian Qian opens her eyes again, she's back in her world, in her room, surrounded by her script. Everything around her suggests that her adventure was only a dream, but the ache in her heart feels all too real. She's filled with a longing she can't shake, and soon after, she learns that the actor who plays Han Shuo, Han Minxing, has been in an accident with lung injuries, just like her Han Shuo. Rushing to the hospital, Qian Qian finds him sitting up in his bed, gazing intently at his wrist, where the gold band Han Shuo had once worn seemed to leave a phantom mark. When he sees her, he blinks, disoriented, then murmurs, "Chen Qian?" Qian Qian's heart races as she realizes he remembers too. He mutters about oranges and tigers, things that only they would understand from their shared dream. She laughs through her tears, knowing it is all real. At that moment, Han Minxing, recognizing her as his Qian Qian, smiles brightly, as if he's finally found his missing piece. Unable to hold back, Qian Qian throws her arms around him, and they embrace tightly, grateful for the second chance they've been given. The last scene shows Qian Qian back at her desk, typing the final lines of her script. This time, she writes a happy ending for Han Shuo and Qian Qian, one that mirrors her own. As she finishes, she realizes that her story in both worlds has finally found its true ending.